I think it's completely absurd to be a married man out there on the front lines leading an anti-marriage boycott. Like, be for real. So yeah, I had a lot of I was listening to all that, but yes.
All right, so if you understand that 90% of the people who pay alimony are men, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And I understand why you wouldn't have a dog in that fight. I dig it. And I understand why the other ladies on the panel would still be in favor of it as much, right? And I'm not saying that men should not get married forever, but some things have to be changed in order for that to work.
I think men can work on changing themselves and being better.
Hold on. You got to let them finish.
We could go there instead of being against marriage.
You got to let them finish.
And that's what I'm saying. And you're now what you're saying. If I'm saying boycott, that's not being against marriage. Those are two different things, right? If we compare, we go back to Rosa Parks. She wasn't planning on never riding the buses again. It just said, no, we need to be able to sit where we want. We need to have a seat up in here where we want. Y'all got to change some things before we get back to this. It's a protest in order for things to get better, for things to change, right? If 40% of women are making more than men, why is it still 90% of people paying alimony men? That's bogus. And that's what I'm saying. That's a big problem. And then when you're talking about custody, that hovers around 90% as well in favor of women, of course. And I understand women empowerment, but not at the detriment of men. This is getting ridiculous out here. The juice has to be worth the squeeze. Men are putting everything on the table, and we are at risk, not the women. That's a problem. It's extremely rare that you see a situation where the women don't benefit from a divorce. It's actually enticing and incentivized for women to be divorced. That's problematic. And that's all I'm saying. There's some things that need to be changed. Hopefully that can happen fast. But if it doesn't, then why would men want to destroy their lives and lose their children because they decided to get married? That's crazy.
Perfect.
What do you mean sympathetic? I'm very sympathetic to that plight of men in the court system and things like that. But last time I checked, we live under the patriarchy, and y'all created these laws. I don't remember what wives and mothers or even probably being able to vote or even have a checking account when these laws were created. So I don't know how we're to blame for this or why you should boycott us. We didn't do this, and if things must change, then why don't y'all get out there and change them?
Right now, you guys don't want us to have abortions. So now there's going to be a lot more kids out there that you men don't want. But you're going to take care of those during child support too.
Who doesn't? What men don't want you to have?
And however, there's what is called
rights.
prenup. So don't use the system as a way for a man not to get back what he needs when he's done in a relationship. Handle it like you got business.
Are you familiar
you have
with
an option
how
to do
prenups
a
work?
prenup and a postnup. You can do that after you get married.
Chanel, look right. You just saying a bunch of
stuff.
I'm
done with you. I'm done with you.
Listen,
I'm done with you, sir.
Because it's about to go there, right?
So anyway, like I was saying, I was talking to Trev. Do not cut me off because I'm not talking to you.
Listen.
I was talking to Trev.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
JR, can you tell him to
I got everything. y'all. So let's make sure.
Thank you, because I was definitely talking to somebody else.
Okay, let's make sure the person
talking over him. You started talking over him like you've been doing.
Dude, I still ain't talking to you. Anyway, Trev, like I said, it's what we call prenups and postnups. There's ways to be proactive, reactive, and to do the things that you need to protect yourself, your family, and your kids. So you can't use the system that you fall back on in a divorce, wait for them to tell you what you want, and then say something got to change.
Well, listen, I'll say this. Right?
And I've been through a divorce before, and I was ordered to pay alimony, $380, okay? So I know all about it.
So we can tell.
All right, so we understand.
I can see why.
I didn't have to pay it, though, boo.
It's showing exactly why.
I didn't have to pay it, though, boo.
But you got your dog.
I sure do. His name is Dooney. You want to meet him? Come for my dog. Please do.
The chat says.
That's what I thought. Swerve.
6 months ahead.
Bye, dog.
I understand what the men are saying. I'm not saying that that men are not in a bad position, but sometimes the women are in a bad position as well. Like I know in real life. So it's not every woman winning in every divorce. Every woman is not demanding everything. Every woman is
just
not
90%
in her marriage. But when you're not in the 90, you said 90?
Yeah, that ain't even true either.
But a lot of these guys, the average guy is not paying alimony. So that's what I'm saying. That you could say the numbers, but make sure you put it in context. Everybody can't get alimony because your average earner. If somebody's making $40,000 a year, they're not paying alimony. So there's that. But like I said, 6 months to get the prenup, and then you go ahead because you're the man. You determine whether you get in a relationship. You determine whether you get married. You can get a prenup and then move about your business. But to act like going and having 4 kids by 4 women is a better way, it's not.
So no, we never said that. And marriage, I'm gonna just finish real quick. Only a second. So we're gonna talk about no. So you can get married without involving Uncle Sam, right? The original marriage, if you go to the biblical days, your covenant was between a wife, the man, and God. It had nothing to do with Uncle Sam. Why all of a sudden do we have to infuse the government into our relationship?
We're in the United
That's what you brought in. You said that something got to change. You're talking about the government, right? What's got to change?
Yes.
I keep asking you.
Don't involve the government.
Then what are you talking about when you say something's got to change?
But it's still going to be disputes though, Trev, because even if you're not married, you're still going to, if somebody's not happy, they're still going to have to go through the courts anyway. If somebody hit somebody's car, they got to go to court. Somebody fall on the floor, they got to go to court. It's not like you can completely keep the courts out of it. Anybody can be sued at any time. So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to disrespect your solution. I'm just saying that could cause us a bigger problem because if we really look at it from all kinds of angles, what did the psychologist say? What did the family, therapists say? How is this going to affect our community 20 years from now is my point.
So Ruth, really quick, I do have a question. Do you think it's rational for the average man to be worried about the possibility of paying alimony and child support in a divorce?
So if you're going to pay child support anyway, and you don't make enough to give alimony, why do you care? When I'm talking about the average man.
Oh, fair enough. All right. So the thing is that alimony doesn't necessarily always mean that in regards to the average money, right? So when you look at the data, right, almost 40% of households in the black, and let's just talk about strictly the black community, about 40% of them are headed by a man where he's the sole provider for the household. So let's say, for example, if 100% of marriages were to fall apart today, out of 100% of those, 40% of them, a man will be paying alimony. Even the average man.
Okay, so when you have a stay-at-home wife, right, and she didn't go to work all this time, do you think she's going to get the best job? Do you think she's going to be ahead in her career? These women actually are people. They lose part of their career. They're sacrificing for their family. It's like some men just think about themselves and they're like, whatever. She was a stay-at-home mom. Now she's on the street. Now she got to figure it out all by herself. And that's why the stay-at-home moms they're the most likely to get a divorce because they're scrambling for their lives. They have no livelihood.
But why should they? But why should they when they have a husband? That's the whole point of the union, is that he is the person that stabilizes you, and where you don't have to worry about going out and getting a job and establishing a career. And you are the thing that balances him out, where he doesn't have to worry about the household and everything like that. That's how two people, where one is the breadwinner and the other one is the stay-at-home person, comes together, and that's supposed to work. Once you divorce that person, of course you're going to have to try to figure all of that out. That's why you're not supposed to be getting the divorce.
I agree with you. I agree that the women should not be getting a divorce. It's not that wise to go ahead and do that. You promise to stay with somebody for life. That's what we should be talking about versus the boycotting of marriage, because that's putting the black community in a worse position. We're already not getting married at the rate of everybody else. So now let's go 10 steps backward in order to move more backward?
That's the thing though, is that the thing is that everybody's not getting married for those fears.
So why you can't already boycotting? You see what I'm saying? Like,
well,
that's boycotting the boycott. What?
Who's boycotting? All right, slow down real quick.
They're not asking women to marry.
Ruth,
hold on, y'all. We got to talk one at a time. That's on both sides, both men and women. Let's make sure we're being fair to each other, y'all.
I get that. there's no. I get what you're trying to say. There is no boycott in the boycott. There's no such thing as that. They're just not doing it.
So why we got to, on top of it, boycott it is my point. You're already not marrying the women.
Wait, is that the topic? Somebody said something about boycotting, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, right before you came in.
That's what we all talking about.
So are we talking about the state of, so when we talk about boycotting, are we talking about what people are saying and then we're seeing the action of that? Or are we seeing people who are not married and saying, let's boycott marriage?
No, there's people that is married saying, let's boycott marriage.
That's why I told them to get a divorce.
So there's people who are married saying boycott marriage.
Yes.
Yeah, right above you, Trev.
Get a single man to say it because it's not working. Like,
okay,
you gotta live what you.
Okay, so now that I have an understanding of what's going on, the reason why Trev is saying that is because of the things that are transpiring that doesn't make marriage fair. So he's saying, he's recommended that people who are not married to not get married in this current state because things are not aligning fairly for men.
Let somebody else say it.
Huh?
Let somebody else say it.
Why
let a single man say it. It makes more sense.
Why does it have to be a single man that says it?
Because the married man is telling everybody not to get married, but you're married. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
You're married right now.
All right. So, but why aren't you listening to the reason? He's giving you the reason why. Why not talk about the reasons he's giving rather than looking at the person and saying, well, because you married, you shouldn't be talking, instead of just hearing what he's saying and being like, okay, I see what you're trying to say about marriage. Let's talk about that.
If we're trying to promote marriage, how can we boycott marriage at the same time? That's what I'm saying. I'm not against marriage. I'm going to be for marriage.
Oh,
I want men to protect themselves.
All right. So like what I'm hearing is that they're not talking about the commitment part of it, right? So let's just say that you didn't go the legal route and actually sign paperwork, but you still got married, you had the ceremony, like you went in front of God. I think Trev and Sweeney would be okay with that. It's just that when you add the legal part into it, it's not fair for men, is what they're saying. And
Jared, I'm not even saying that. I'm asking Ruth to. This is what I'm essentially asking you to do, Ruth, because you are for marriage, right? Mm-hmm. You're for marriage in this debate. Trev is against marriage. Instead of telling Trev, don't speak about marriage because you're married, hear his reasons why he doesn't.
I didn't say don't speak about marriage. I'm sorry. Okay,
well, you said don't speak about boycotting marriage because you're married, right? Instead of saying that, hear his reasons why he says you shouldn't get married, and then say, well, okay, well, here's the reasons why I believe you should get married. Because then at that point, you're actually making an argument for marriage rather than dismissing his point simply because he is married.
I hear what you're saying.
And I think that makes for a better conversation.
I hear what you're saying, but my point is, when you're boycotting it, you're telling people to do something that you're not doing it. So you're being a hypocrite. And when you're saying that, so if you're willing to divorce and show people that I'm the leader of this movement, don't start a movement that you can't lead, is my point. And I have many reasons for marriage. You could have the love of your life. Y'all can be at peace. You can find a woman that wants to rub your feet at night, that wants to rub your back. You can find somebody that's not going to argue with you. Once you find that, hold that. But my thing is, when you find your wife and you're going to sit there and say, nope, Trev said not to get married to you, I'm going to just let my dream wife go. That doesn't sit well with me.
Do you think a person that's not in a relationship can speak about relationships?
He can do whatever he wants to do.
No, I'm just asking. I'm just asking for your own. Don't take Trev out of it. Do you believe that a person that is not in a relationship can speak about relationships?
Yeah, they can.
Do you think a person that's divorced can speak about marriage?
Yep, they can.
It's the same concept. Even though he's married, he can speak on a topic about why not to get married.
But while he's getting the benefits of being married, these single guys are not going to get those same benefits.
It's okay.
I understand his argument, like when he was saying like how Rosa Parks got on the, like, I understand the idea of the boycott. I think it's like you know, somebody that's grown up and got pregnant as a teen telling you, wait as long as you can. I understand the concept, and I think there is some validity in what he's saying. Maybe trying to pass on wisdom to the unmarried or something, like fight for your rights kind of thing. I get it. But I think it has. I think between us, it has to be like more conversational. I think it'll never get there to where we can change things, or it's more beneficial for the man, or it's more fair on both behalves if we can never really have the conversation. I feel like anytime we start discussing like gender things, it like devolves into like argumentative and competitive. But if we were to have like a more cooperative conversation, I definitely could see where he's going or what he's talking about, improving these conditions for both sides of the marriage, both genders, the man and the woman. But I think we have to be a little more open to hearing it.
And that's exactly and that's the thing that I was trying to get Ruth to understand, is that instead of talking about the person and why they should or shouldn't have the conversation, because at that point you're having a meta conversation, you're having a conversation about the conversation. Instead of doing that, she could have just said, okay, I see your points of why you don't believe that men should get married. Well, here's my position on why.
She did say that.
I do have to tell you, because Sweeney, you weren't here too. I did say that it was wild for a married man to be leading the anti-marriage boycott, but that was before I have more context. But
and that's all I'm asking us to do.
Offhand, right off the bat, it's a crazy concept. But hearing more, how you frame it and what you're saying, I mean, it's a conversation.
Because you got to remember that Trev do talk to a lot of men, as do I. So when you talk to, just like y'all talk to women, y'all talk to a whole lot of women. So y'all get a lot of insight from how women feel about things. So if you came to us and said, this is why women should practice abstinence before having, because of this, we have to be able to listen to y'all, and we can come up with reasons why we believe that that's wrong or not. But to simply say, hey, look, do you practice abstinence before sex? You'd be like, well, no.
Y'all do that all the time on the show, though. That's my point. Like, this is what the Black community does. As soon as somebody start talking, what are your credentials? Who are you? You got a Lambo before you try to send it? I'm just doing
and you know what? And I'll be the first one, here to admit that's where we miss the mark at all the time. That's why we're having the same conversation today that we've had yesterday and the year before that and the year before that, is because instead of actually trying to hear someone and understand where they're coming from, we're trying to disqualify them from even talking about
it. Sweeney must have had some good sleep last night, man.
I think so.
Shooting from
I just got